Trying to wake up this morning. Whew. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Hello, people. I'm in the shop doing my finishing work this morning. Got a bunch of Yawara I need to cord up. So feel free to hang out with me and let me be less bored. I know this is not probably the most exciting thing to watch. Hello. I'm actually cording up a bunch of Yawara. These are self-defense weapons that are used in a lot of different martial arts. You put a cord in the center. It kind of gives you like an anchor for your fingers, and it works as an augmentation of your fist. Also have a vampire stake that I'm going to be cord wrapping the handle of when I'm done with these. And I've got a new cane sword, or not cane sword, it's hard to explain. It's a dueling cane from the Mistborn book trilogy that I am going to figure out if I'm going to give it a handle wrap or if I'm just going to leave it bare for people to do what they want with it. That's my plan anyway. Hey Ryder, how you doing? Yes, I sell them. They're available on my shop, warriorwoodandprops.com. They're also available on eBay. My shop on eBay is the same name, Warrior Wood and Props. Yeah, and there's links in my bio if you need a little help finding them. My link tree is in my bio and should be able to find it. Hey, what's up? These are Yawara. Yawara are they're a self-defense tool that's used in karate and a bunch of other martial arts. They uses a corded finger anchor to give you a small palm stick, which is what some people call them. It gives you a palm stick to augment your fist. Like these are out of hickory. These are non-taper, traditional size Yawara. You have one already? Crazy girl, you already got one? You already got a palm stick? They're very useful. I feel like I tell this story every time I go live, but these were invented by a group called the Shurite. They were the bodyguards of the Okinawan royal family and eventually became the fathers of what we know now as karate. They were tasked with protecting the Okinawan royal family during a Japanese occupation of the island long time ago. They were forbidden from carrying weapons, however, which, as you can imagine, makes a bodyguard's job a little difficult. So they worked really hard to find things they could use as weapons or augmentations of their fist that weren't technically weapons. These, from what I've been told, were originally like these were like a backing to a pillow that women used to sit in seiza position, that kneeling, like on your knees position. And they would put it between their rear and their heels. Well, if you took the backing out of the pillow, the husbands realized, oh yeah, this is freaking useful. So they started carrying them because, you know, if a Japanese officer or samurai stopped you and asked what you were carrying, you know, well, it's just the backing to a pillow. It's not a weapon. Like, I'm not carrying a sword or anything. So, and to this day, from what I do understand, in some regions of Japan, women still carry them on subways because Japanese subways can be a little precarious for women sometimes. So, first I'm going to do these. These are hickory. I have like some hickory burl that had some cool grain patterns. So I'll probably sell these separately because they look so different. But it's a pretty simple design. It just has 2 holes. And then you run a cord through those 2 holes. Like this. And now you've got an anchor for your hand. So if you hit, it's very easy when you're hitting someone with something that's in your fist like that. It's easy for it to slip out. So that palm anchor keeps it from slipping out. Hey, Lillian. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my party. So, yeah, these are hickory. These are about 6.5, a little over 6.5 inches. And then the rest of these are what I call pocket Yawara. These are all 6-inch Yawara. Or palm sticks, depending on where you're from. But they aren't just used in karate. I know there are some Filipino martial arts that use them. Your sub now? Oh, thank you. So yeah, there we go. So those are the hickory ones. These 2 are padauk, which is a really cool wood, by the way. It's bug resistant, it's decay resistant, it's really strong, and it depends. You can kind of tell the age of the wood based on the color. So like when they first cut it, it's a bright orange, and then over time it kind of turns to a burnt orange, kind of like this. And then as it gets older, it turns to more like a darker, like reddish purple or reddish brown. And so it's kind of interesting. Like the longer you own it, the darker it gets over time. Thank you for the likes, everybody. So, but these, because they're only 6 inches, you can stick this in a purse or a pocket. Very simple to carry. And it's just a little stick. But, you know, a smack to the temple with that will definitely make them think twice. And I make them out of all sorts of wood types, from cheap to expensive. Like these right here. This is okome, which is a lighter wood that I make these out of. These are probably the cheapest pocket Yawara that I sell. It's a very light wood. I mostly recommend those for like kata and forms practice if you're doing that, because you're less likely to do serious damage with those if you mess up and accidentally hit your opponent. You're going to hurt them, but you're probably not going to injure them. So, there we go. All right, so that's the Dauk. This is probably one of my favorite kinds of wood. I know that it's probably hard to see in here. This is called Purple Heart. Love Purple Heart. It sands up pretty. It's got like a cool deep purple color to it. And like padauk, it can change color over time. It can kind of like turn like a grayer purple or like a pinkish purple. And what's interesting with Purple Heart is you can put it outside in the sun and let it sit in the sun for like a little while, and it'll become a deeper purple color. No, definitely not butt plugs, my man. But Thanks for the interesting question. No, definitely not making butt plugs up in here. But yeah, so that's Purple Heart. Yeah, I actually I don't swing for the other team necessarily. I am pansexual, but I am in a relationship at the moment. But thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, I am spoken for. Sorry. There we go. So that's all our Purple Hearts and Padauk. Then I got 3 of these Okome ones. And Okome is not necessarily like a weak wood. It's just very light and slightly softer for a hardwood. So just makes it slightly less dangerous if you're doing like Yawara kata with a partner and maybe you're still learning. These are a good choice as kind of like a Yawara starter for people who are doing it in karate, just because it's a good size, it's light, and you're less likely to cause a skull fracture if you accidentally hit your partner with it. I use gold paracord for these. I don't know, gold kind of looks good with the Okome. How can you use this? That's a great question, Samantha. All right. So this is a Yawara. You stick your middle 2 fingers through the anchor cord there, and you close your fist around it. And these ends, which need to be at least about a ½ inch or less, and you basically use that as a augmentation of your fist. You can go for the top of the skull. You can go for the temple, the orbital bone, the throat. That to right here, good shot. Or you can just whack away with it like that, and keep hitting them. It will definitely hurt. It'll hurt more than your fist will, I promise. That's how they're used. This is a pretty simple concept. I find that when it comes to things that are made to be weaponry, simplicity is almost always the best way to go. The more complicated the weapon, the more likely it's going to malfunction or something's going to go wrong. And when you're trying to fight for your life or keep yourself safe, you don't want to be dealing with a malfunction. So Yawara, they're pretty trustworthy to do what they're supposed to do, which is just be a stick in your palm that you can smack somebody with. I have longer ones also. There's some kinds where the anchor holes are on one end and you have a longer end on the other side. It gives you a lot more reach. I have some of those kinds of designs in my shop. I think they're mostly oak. I think I got one of like Purple Heart, one of Padauk. So there we go. That's you use it with your ex. That's great. Yeah, it'd probably work. But only use them for self-defense though. So those are my Okome, my Purple Heart, and my Padauk, and my Hickory. Give me 1 second, everybody. Let me go put these away. I'll be right back, and then I'm going to cord up a handle on a vampire stake that I've got back here. Give me 2 seconds. I am back. So this thing, I just need to buff this a little bit. I had this kind of cool cutoff in the shop. I was trying to figure out what to do with it. So I made like a wood knife slash vampire hunter steak. It's got a bladed side right here. Got a very sharp tip, little false edge there. And it's just rounded on the back. It's got a cool little kind of curve to it. It follows the grain of the wood. I thought this one seems like it deserves a handle. So sometimes it's hard for me to decide if I should wrap stuff or just leave it for people to do whatever they want to it, but there we go. But I gave it its second application of tongue oil this morning, so it's still a little sticky, so just need to buff it out so that I don't leave prints in it or anything. So there we go. Hey, what's up, V7? Is that like V8 -1? All right. Now I'm going to use for this is black jute cord. I like to use jute because it has, especially with steaks, because it has kind of a rough look to it. It's fairly inexpensive, so I can keep my costs down and my prices down on my stuff, because that's always especially these days, that always seems to be the hard part, is keeping prices down, because everything keeps getting more and more expensive. Like this week I had to rush and order a whole bunch of stuff because there was concern that with all the tariff stuff that's going on, that prices were going to go up for a bunch of the stuff that I use. So went ahead and ordered as much stuff as I needed before that happened. And this is just a simple cord wrap with a tuck. Hello, cat. So yeah, whereas the Yawara are for real life self-defense, I also make a lot of different kinds of vampire steaks that can be used against vampires for the most part. I have a few steaks I wouldn't recommend using against an actual vampire. Not because they're not cool looking or anything. They're cool looking and they would definitely work. But it's a part of vampire lore that I always think is funny that no one ever talks about. In the old school Romanian vampire lore, you're not supposed to ever stake a vampire with evergreen wood of any kind. And pine, which I make some of my steaks out of, is an evergreen wood. So if you ever buy one of my pine steaks, if you run into a real vampire, don't try to use it. Because according to the Romanian lore, if you stake a vampire with evergreen wood, it could make them stronger, and it won't actually kill them. So I'm not sure I ever want to test that out to find out if that's true or not. I feel like I would just err on the side of caution, because I feel like if it's true, you're only going to have about a second to learn it if you use a pine steak. Thanks for the likes, everybody. So yeah, definitely go with a hardwood. I was doing a live yesterday while I was tongue oiling stuff, and this guy he's like, it sounds like a bunch of wood lobby propaganda to me. They want you to buy the more expensive woods for your vampire steaks. They don't want you to use the cheaper pine. Oh. Gonna get this bad boy corded up. This is a much bigger handle than I thought it was going to be, and anytime something's got a curve to it, doing this is a little more difficult. I don't know why I put this up here. I probably should put that down on the floor. There we go. So feel free to ask questions if you got them. You can ask about what I do in the shop. You can ask. I also am an author and a mythologist. I have a master's degree in mythology. I've written probably about 16 or 17 books, I think, at this point. on the subject of mythology for the most part. So if you're interested in about mythology, you're welcome to ask me about that. Just whatever. I can talk about just about anything. It's kind of why I do this, because this part of my job gets a little tedious, and doing these lives kind of keeps me sane. Do I have a bigger one? Absolutely. Give me a sec. I have a much. I have many bigger ones, but I got some bigger ones back here. These are my hammer style steaks. These are based on the old 70s Hammer vampire films, where they would, they'd go to the vampire's coffin and put this over him, and they'd hammer the back of the steak. So that's why you have to have that kind of pommel on the back so you can hit it with a hammer. I have bigger ones than this, actually. I have a vampire bat steak that's literally a baseball bat. That's a steak. So yeah. I also have a couple of giant like vampire staff hammer steak things that are pretty cool. They're like, it's like a long spear, but with a staked like head, like crossways on it. So if you like kind of like a swinging, you could swing it like a like a kind of like a flail. You swing it, but it's got a stake head on the top instead of like almost like an axe, really, but with a stake instead of a axe head. Do I have a bigger one? Yeah, those are my bigger ones. I've got lots of them. If you go in my shop, you'll see vampire steaks. I love making them. I think it's kind of fun to think about like the different styles. I think it's one of the cool things about vampire steaks is that, you can make it out of just about anything that's wood. So it was one of the things I really liked about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie and series is that, anytime she had a steak, it always was something different. And my favorite little like Easter egg in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie is that like she goes to this dance with like a bag full of steaks. And as she's staking, every time she stakes someone, it goes from being like regular carved wood steaks to like chair legs and table legs. And like by the time she gets to the big boss at the end, where it's Paul Rubens or Pee Wee Herman's character, and she goes to stake him, and I don't think they didn't do a very good job of pointing this out, but it's a freaking ruler. She stabs him with a ruler, like a wooden school ruler. She had sharpened on one end. I actually sell those too out of my shop. I've got ruler stakes because that always cracked me up about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, that she had stakes. But it's like she went through her house and anything that was made of wood, she just sharpened it up and threw it in a bag. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm fairly new. I mean, I've been on YouTube for a while, like as just watching videos, but I've only recently kind of started posting stuff from my shop. I'm horrible with social media. I'm not really like an influencer or anything like that. I'm just a guy that uses social media to promote my shop and kind of share stuff that I think is cool. Like over on my Instagram, I have like bad movies I watch and books I'm reading and stuff like that. But here on YouTube, I mostly just do the shop stuff. But yeah, no, I appreciate the subscription. Like, it just helps me get the word out, because last year I was selling on Etsy. I'd been selling on Etsy for a few years. I actually had a very loyal following on Etsy for my stuff. And then Etsy changed one of their rules about weapons, as far as they said you couldn't sell batons. Well, a baton is 18 to 24 inches by definition, and they changed it to anything under 36 inches would be considered a baton. So that made like my Yawara, like everything that a lot of the stuff I sold, my Eskrima sticks, all that stuff, was suddenly a weapons violation. But they didn't do a very good job of telling anybody. So they flagged like 10 listings as weapons violations and then kicked me off the platform. Happened to a lot of guys. Oh crap, I forgot my scissors. Happened to a lot of people that sold like the kind of stuff that I sell on Etsy late last year, and I know there are a few guys that this happened to, but so now I'm restarting on eBay and on my website. Hang on one sec. I forgot my scissors. I took my scissors in there this morning to cut the paracord for my Yawara and forgot to bring them back in here. There we go. All right. So now we got nice little black handle wrap on this bad boy. Gonna cut these off. Kind of just stress up the ends here so that it looks a little used. And there we go. Now we got a wood knife / vampire hunter stake. All right. So that is done. Be right back. This is the other thing I gotta figure out. I just made this. This is a zebra wood. It's my interpretation of a dueling cane from the Mistborn trilogy. It's a book trilogy by a guy named Sanderson. Really good. But in that world, there's people who they call them allomancers who can control metal. So if you're going to use a weapon, you didn't want to use one that was made of metal, and so they would carry these wood swords they called dueling canes. They call them canes, but what's interesting is in the book, it never says they're actually like walking with them. They usually are carrying them on their hip like you would a sword. So in my interpretation, I figure they probably look a little more like swords. So in the book, you know, it doesn't really describe them, but it tells you how they're used. Like a lot of times they're used to run people through, so you definitely want a stabbing tip. And in one case, there is a character that like chops a guy in the throat with his dueling cane, and it causes damage to his throat. So I gave it a bladed side over there. It's got a rounded off on the blocking side, and I just gave it a very simple handle with a belly as like a wrist guard kind of thing. I'm trying to decide if I should just keep it like this or if I should wrap the handle. I don't know. I'm trying to decide. It's still a little wet. But this particular one, there's a character named Ellen Venture in the book. And he and his significant other, who's the main character, Vin, they tend to dress in color contrast. He dresses in white. She dresses in black. So I chose zebra wood. Which has these black stripes on white, and so I thought that would kind of be representative of the color contrast between the two characters. And I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I'm thinking about doing like a black handle wrap on it. The handle is not like too narrow, but it's fairly slim, so I think it's got room for it. My only concern is this thing is still a little bit tacky, and I don't want to mess it up with my fingerprints or anything. Which reminds me, give me 1 second to get my other cloth here so I can stop touching it. What do you guys think? Should I put a handle wrap on it, or should I just leave it like this? What do you think? I'm open to suggestions here. No opinion? I guess I could put a wrap on it, and if I don't like it, I could take it off. Well, if I can get this cloth over my hand, there we go. What do you guys think? Should I wrap it? Well, you waited too long. I'm doing it anyway. If you didn't want it wrapped, you lost your opportunity. Ooh, I feel I should have gone the other way. Because doing it this direction is going to be difficult. Oh, I guess it's going to be hard either way. Either direction I go is going to be difficult, so I'll just do this. There you go. Put that at the back. This is a dueling cane. Thanks for the question there. I can't tell what flag that is. But yeah, this is a dueling cane from the Mistborn series of books, and right now I'm doing a little handle wrap on it. If I can get this cord to cooperate. Oh, see if I can do it without damaging the sword. I think a cord wrap. I feel like a cord wrap makes sense because since it is a dueling weapon, you would definitely want to make sure you had a secure grip on it. So I feel like for Ellen Venture, the character Ellen Venture, though, he tends to not like. He's a noble, but he's not a big fan of like extravagance. So I feel like his would be simple. It would be nice, but it would be simple. It wouldn't be overly adorned. And there's another character in the series named Spook who carries 2 dueling canes. I'm thinking about making like a set of dueling canes for Spook. I just haven't figured out what I think Spook's dueling canes would look like. Greetings from Slovakia. Hey, Tommy. Spread some love and positivity. That's always a good thing. Appreciate that. I'll always take love and positivity and likes. That's always a good time. Oh, I feel like this is going to take me a while. Starting to think I've made a mistake. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me this morning. I know watching a chubby middle-aged man cord wrap handles and cord up Yawara is probably not the most exciting thing you've seen on YouTube this week, but I do appreciate the company. And I go live every Saturday in like usually in the afternoon. as I'm staining and tongue oiling everything. And then I do go live every Sunday morning, usually around 7:30. Maybe a little after that sometimes, but for the most part, around by 7:30, I'm on here live as I do my finishing work. And so that is what I'm doing. Yeah, I appreciate the likes, you guys really do. I really appreciate the engagement. I know that helps with the algorithm, whatever the hell the algorithm is. The all mysterious algorithm. The other thing that's nice about jute is it has enough friction that it tends to stick to itself fairly well, so I don't have to use any sort of adhesive, which I try to avoid adhesives if I can. I have a few designs that I use adhesives for the cording, but for the most part, I try to avoid it if I can, because I realize that, sometimes cording comes loose, or you want to replace it with something new or different, and when there's glue or adhesive, it makes that kind of a pain in the butt. So I try not to use adhesive if I can. I use it on I like my Donatello stabs and stuff like that, but mostly because those are for cosplay purposes. But if it's for like anything else, I try to not use glue or adhesive. About halfway there. All right. I know this is crazy exciting stuff for you guys, but I really appreciate you staying and hanging out with me. Ah, there we go. Got a little. Oh, come on. Keep it moving. But the thing that sucks the most about this, though, is that after a minute, your hands really start to cramp. Teach you self-defense? I don't know if I'm the person to be teaching anybody self-defense these days. I'm in horrible shape. Probably, if I had to fight somebody who was in good shape, I'd probably just recommend hitting them everywhere that's painful, because that's what I would do. I would be going for the eyes, the throat, the knees, the groin. Got as Master Ken says, you got to re-stomp that groin. So, if I had to fight these days, I would just use every dirty trick I knew, because I am in horrible shape. Definitely not in fighting shape these days. So that would be my plan. My plan would just be to use every dirty trick. I poke them in the eyes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I enjoy talking. It's one of my few things that I tend to be kind of good at. Uh, so, thanks, Tommy. Appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, all right, I can teach you one thing there, Cat. Most people know this. So, right here in the throat, right, there's a little indentation just above your sternum, right at the base of the throat. Most people don't know is that's where the gag reflex is housed. So if someone's choking you or has you up against a wall or something like that, take your two fingers, place your pointer finger on top of your middle finger, put it right in that depression, and push as hard as you can. It will activate a gag reflex. The person will feel like they're going to puke, and they will let you go. I have tried this many times. I have had people try to hold me doing it. They never have been able to. So that's what you do. Take those two fingers and shove them in that little divot at the bottom of the throat, right at the base of the throat, and then run like hell. That is my self-defense tip of the day. And you're very unlikely to cause any permanent harm, but it is a good way to get somebody to let you go when they're trying to hold on to you, and give you a chance to run away and get to safety or help, which is really what you should do in any self-defense situation. And if there's no help coming or there's no way to escape, then you got to fight. So just do that. But that little throat trick's pretty nice. So there you go, Kat. There's your self-defense training for today. Go find somebody and shove your fingers into their gag reflex. Please don't do that unless you have no choice. Or the person has consented to you practicing it with them. Because I feel like it's not a pleasant experience having that done to you. I had a guy once that he knew it was coming, and he didn't back away soon enough, and he ended up kind of throwing up in his mouth a little bit. Do I have mods for my channel? Not that I know of. No, just my channel that I know of. I've got other social media stuff that I use. I'm on Instagram. I have a Facebook page. I'm really not a fan of Facebook. I feel like that's just where everybody's parents go these days. I feel like, I don't know why, but so many of my Gen X friends are still on Facebook, and I don't really get why. Because I'm like, it's such a horrible place. Like, I feel like Facebook is the toxic community of the social media world. Like, it's the worst. Like, you only go on Facebook if you want to find out which of your relatives are racists. Because that's pretty much what I find out on Facebook every time I go on there, and I really don't want to know. I feel like Facebook is designed and purposely designed to just try to make people angry, because the angrier you are, the more you're likely to engage with content. So, not a fan. But I do Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and I actually have a Clapper account. Again, I don't know if anyone's even on Clapper. Unfortunately, because of my day job, I work for a cybersecurity company, so I can't use TikTok. They have a pretty strict ban on us using TikTok on any device where we've got anything work related, which is kind of hard not to have anything work related on my phone. So yeah, I can't do TikTok, unfortunately. Maybe one day that'll change, but for now, I can't use TikTok. So there we go. Let me cut these off. There we are. Now we got the sword with a nice little handle wrap on it. You'll become a what? I don't even know what that says. I learned to read emojis. So yeah, that's it. And unfortunately, it looks like that's all of my projects for today. One thing I've got to do after this, one of my belt sanders died a few months ago, and I had a backup belt sander, but it's only like 4 amps. And I know if I keep using it the way I've been using it, that it's definitely going to die soon. So I found a used high amp 6 amp belt sander online. So I'm gonna go pick that up today so that I can keep working and not burn out the motor on my I don't want to burn out the motor on my sander. So anyway, undo these little mad boys. There we are. What do you guys think? Ready to go? Anyway, well, that is it for me this morning. I'm gonna go pack everything up. Go pack up this. I should I should burn out the motor. Yeah, I try not to. Those things are expensive. But anyway, as I said earlier, my website's warriorwoodandprops.com. You can also find me on eBay. My shop is Warrior Wood and Props on eBay as well. I go live every Saturday and Sunday, usually in the afternoon on Saturday, morning on Sunday, with my finishing work. Well, yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go pack all this stuff up, go pick up a belt sander, and then I'm gonna go home, eat some lunch, and watch a bad movie and post about it on Instagram. Thank you so much. I will keep up the good work. But hey, what's up, Connor? Anyway, I'm out, you guys. Have a good day. Sorry you came in at the end there, but thanks everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend. No, I don't stream daily. I only stream on Saturday afternoons and Sunday mornings. I don't leave. Well, yeah, you got a question for me, Connor? I can stick around for a little bit. I'm not in a huge rush. No, you don't have a question for me. Unfortunately, I don't have anything else to do this morning. I've done all of my projects. All my Yawara corded up. I got the handle wrapped on this dueling cane. Stream for one more hour. Sorry, Connor, I can't. You too. Have a great day, Kat. I can't, Connor. I got stuff I got to go do. But thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you guys next week. Peace. What do you need, Connor? Hang on, I'll stick around for a second. What do you need, Connor? You need a well? Thanks for the likes, everyone. You want to create an AI bot? Thanks, Connor. I'll see you guys later. That's hilarious. Happy Easter, everybody.